Thanks for joining us for the KOHO 101 Community Connection Podcast, a look at business in the greater Wenatchee area.
It's the KOHO Morning Show. Great to have you with us on this Tuesday edition of the program. Chris Hansen, pleased to welcome the Wenatchee Valley Chamber of Commerce back into the studio yet again for another in our continuing series of Community Connections podcasts with the Chamber. These air as a part of the KOHO Morning Show and then also are part of our podcast series, which you can find online at our website, KOHO101.com. Also links at the Chamber's website as well. And we've been having a lot of fun talking to the Chamber over the course of the last several weeks. Going to have a lot more fun over the course of the weeks ahead. And today, going to do the same with not only Shiloh Burgess, the Executive Director of the Chamber, who's here once again as always, but also Mina Gomez, who joins us today. She's the Vice Chair of the Hispanic Business Council, part of the Chamber's family. And we'll talk today a little bit more about the council and about how it formed, why it formed, and what it's up to these days and hopes to be up to in the future. We're also talking an awful lot about integration within the business community as a part of this conversation today. And ladies, I appreciate the time very much. Thanks.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. We're glad that we could be here joining in your time. So thank you.
Absolutely. So Shiloh, yet another wing, if you will, of the Chamber and its activities. This is something else that came, the Hispanic Business Chamber, that is, or Business Council, out of the Our Valley, Our Future effort. So why don't you sort of give us a brief overview of this, historically speaking, inclusive, and then turn it over to Mina to find out a little bit more about the council and its activities to date.
Yeah, when I first started with the Chamber of Commerce, they had a few specific goals related to how they were doing business. And one was obviously in this new tourism arm was related to outdoor recreation and promotion of the wine industry. And in the business community, they wanted to see more integration and more partnership within the Chamber of Commerce and the North Central Washington Hispanic Business or Hispanic Chamber of Commerce at that time, right? And so the question is, well, how do we do that? And I had already been in a situation where it felt like it was a hostile takeover, and that wasn't the intent. And so it was really started with just open dialogue and communication and seeking to understand before really trying to be understood with the North Central Washington Hispanic Chamber of Commerce leaders. And it was 3 years of those beginning conversations when I just turned over. And then OVOF happened, and the community said, why do we have two? Why do we have two chambers? And we went, well, that's a great question. And so then it set off another dialogue. And Wilma Cartagena, who is on our board of directors and was the first chair of the HBC, really helped make that transition happen and understand what were the tenets that needed to be present in this new endeavor by the Wenatchee Valley Chamber of Commerce to allow the Hispanic business community not to lose their identity in what we were doing, as well as their passion and the great work that they had already started through the North Central Washington Hispanic Business Council when it was established. And so it really took a little bit of time to find that rhythm, but I'm really excited that Mina is here to share from not only the Hispanic business owners' perspective, but as a member of both of these organizations and now a leader in this new council. So thank you for being with us, Mina. And I just really hope that you could talk just a little bit about that journey from your seat.
Great. Yes. Again, thank you for having me. It's been really interesting to be able to not only watch the Chamber of Commerce make this transition and open up the doors for HBC to be part of our community, but also live through it, right? When I first started in our community and kind of finding ways to give back, I actually started with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, right? And so it was just really interesting to see that, you know, there was there was a vision there was goals, there was a lot of things that we wanted to do, but unfortunately we just weren't fitting in, right? We weren't doing the right things. And I'm just super thankful with the Chamber of Commerce for taking us under your wing so that, again, we can truly, like I say, build the right bridge to connect our community, right? I think the biggest thing and place where we were missing it was that, you know, we had a voice, but that voice was not being heard, right? We didn't have the right venues and sometimes maybe not the right funding. So it's really beautiful to be able to be part of such a great community that truly cares about integrating everyone across the board. And I think the core values, they give us enough information to know why HBC is so important and why its growth is going to continue to give back in our community. You know, I don't know if you guys mind me sharing those core values with you, but it really talks about to the core of what HBC is, right? We truly believe that all people matter and people matter most. The right thing, the right reason, the right time. And we have this abundance mentality where, hey, if we give back to our community, then it will thrive. Right. Our community has been a champion to our growth. And, we've already had our first event that we were so excited to be able to host at PIBIS. And it was a very successful event where we were able to not only introduce our community to what Cinco de Mayo truly is, but we were able to bring together a lot of small business owners to be part of this event and know how we want to continue to give back to them. Right. So a lot of exciting things happening. I'm just really excited to be here to share some of those exciting things, but I'm not alone. Do know that our board consists of 13 different members that are all part of this community and have also grown. Whether you're talking about Rosa Pulido, who, again, I have to give her a lot of kudos. She works with the Chamber of Commerce, and she has been I think a strong force for the HBC. But we've got, I don't know, Shiloh, if you would like to mention some of the other board members that are also part of our team.
Of course.
Yeah. So again, we want to thank, without a doubt, Ruben Betancourt. He's from CVCH. We want to thank Edwin, of course, and Eric Limon, Michael Arciga, Wilma Cartagena, foundation of the HBC, Elvis Garcia, and Lorena Yuritia, among others. We also have Aaron Ruiz, Anna Cornish, and Shiloh. Of course, we consider you as part of our team because you're always behind us doing all the things. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Mina, tell us a little bit more about the Hispanic Business Council and how, speaking of integration, we'll talk about this in several tiers today, I suppose, but the integration from one chamber, if you will, to another into becoming the Hispanic Business Council as a part of the Wenatchee Valley Chamber of Commerce rather than that separate chamber that existed in Wenatchee at one time.
Yes, I think this was a transition that was perfect for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And the reason being is it was able to give us more funding, not only from the Chamber of Commerce, so that we could prosper and be able to help those small business owners. But I think the most important thing is that it is truly fulfilling the need of our Hispanic business owners, right? And that is to be able to not only educate them, but grow their businesses in a way that will set them up for success in the future. I know I'm going to throw the big C word out there, but we just lived through COVID-19 and a lot of our small business owners struggled, right? So the Chamber of Commerce and HBC tried to put themselves in the forefront of truly helping those businesses so that not only could they make it, but when we're done with all this, they're going to be the thriving businesses that are going to be successful moving forward.
Well, there's another big C out there word that is, and it's a happier one in cultural, and it's actually part of a word, multicultural, when we think about communities. And, I think about like New York, for example, and some of the larger metropolitan areas, older cities in the East Coast, I guess, where there really is still to this day a checkerboard of different cultures that make up that city grid. I mean, you have your Chinatowns and you have your Italian portions of town and places where, other people settled from around the world. So it's not unusual to see those postage stamps, if you will, within a metro footprint. Here in the Wenatchee Valley, we are diverse, maybe not as diverse because we're a little smaller than some of those places. But I wonder, Mina, about the task there with trying to make sure that you respect the cultural integration as well as, the business portion of things with the chamber. I mean, that's a huge part of this. And I have to imagine, too, that some of the members of the Hispanic chamber might have had a little concern about that going into this endeavor and might even still to this day have a concern about that. So how's that being addressed by the council?
Thank you. That's a great question. You're absolutely correct. I think in order for us to serve our community and get to the bottom of that core focus, which is to continue to build the trust and remove the barriers for those members of our community, we really had to dig in deep and understand our own culture. right? I am a, if you will, first generation immigrant. And I know that if you talk to my, father-in-law who is a small business owner, you had to approach him a lot differently than if you would talk to somebody who is a third generation, fourth generation American, right? So that was definitely something that we talked about and we had to address early on, because the only way that we can help and empower our small business owners is to be able to understand, right? Their values, their culture. It did make it a little bit easier, if you will, because, the majority of our board members do have some sort of Hispanic heritage, but not only Hispanics. I think the HBC is truly here right now serving a purpose of helping our small Hispanic business owners. I mean, if you can name the number of restaurants in our valley, Mexican restaurants, I mean, it's amazing. We know that as a culture, the Hispanic community is known for being entrepreneurs, right? They are hard workers. They put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into their businesses, but the pieces that are missing are the education, right? It's getting those tools that they need or finding the voice so that they can continue to be empowered, and maybe even finding mentors, right? I think that's going to be the key moving forward. But I am just so excited with the board that we currently have. And I do want to throw a quick little thing out there too. We are currently working on our new membership. So we will be soon talking to some new potential members for the HBC committee. So if anybody is interested, not to throw my 10 cents in there, but please feel free to reach out to the Chamber of Commerce or myself. I will be organizing that committee. So no, I think there's a lot of great things happening, and the key thing to address your question is going to be definitely understanding who we're serving, right?
Absolutely. Every single day, every business has to do that. Every organization needs to do that. And that's where it all sounds like it starts with the Hispanic Business Council. Again, they're Mina Gomez, Vice Chair, with us today. They're part of the Wenatchee Valley Chamber of Commerce, and their Executive Director, Shiloh Burgess, in for a chat with us today as well. This, again, part of our ongoing Community Connections podcast series with the Chamber. So, Shiloh, as far as the next tier of this conversation is concerned, I mean, we've talked with Mina already, obviously, about the formation of the council, about its mission, about a lot of the pieces it brings in. Really, heritage is a word even that comes to mind as far as the business community is concerned now, because this is not a new thing. These are businesses that have been around for decades now, maybe not quite legacy businesses yet, like we talked to some weeks ago, but still they're getting there. So, as we move forward with this endeavor into the future, obviously everything evolves, everything changes. What do we see on the horizon for the Hispanic Business Chamber or Council?
Well, they have their 10-year target as being a multicultural council within the Wenatchee Valley Chamber of Commerce. So a big part of this initiative was creating a space, right? Creating a space, as Mina called it, so that all voices can be in all places. And that doesn't always mean that I can have a Mina in a room with me, but because I have access to Mina and I've taken the time to build a relationship with Mina and other Hispanic businesses, I now have more confidence that I can answer those questions from a whole of community standpoint. And that's really important to us as an organization. It's really important to our community's success and our development. And so, we have board members, we have a path for our HBC members to serve on other committees within the organization, to bring their influence, to bring the influence of the Hispanic business community into our org committee, into our advocacy committee, and then into our board. They are actually going to have, this leadership team will have the most exposure and training prior to going on the board than most of my current board members get at this point in time, which is really exciting because they're shaping it for us as we go. And that will probably evolve as well. But it's really important that we have our HBC past president on our board of directors, and they're a business owner. So they sit at the seat as any other member of our board does, but they can bring all of that experience and expertise into that space, which will then change our policies. It'll change our event. It's going to change how we do things, which I'm excited about and will help us evolve. And eventually, in the not too distant future, we'll get to be a multicultural council because there are many cultures in this community. And that's really important, that they have a voice and that we can help elevate at times maybe the unique challenges that some of these businesses have in the community. If that's a new culture coming in because there's a language barrier or there's just a cultural disconnect from how we do things, so we can grow. And I'm honored that I get to work with this group and that the leadership in the Hispanic Business Council which came from the leadership of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, really believed in this organization to trust us, to take this chance and to partner in this way and try integration. Because it's hard. We don't always get it right? Sometimes you have to have some really uncomfortable conversations, and they are uncomfortable, but there's patience and there's a real sincere appreciation for wanting to learn. And that's what I love. And I hope that we can gift that to the community. We can create these safe spaces where we can explore the different cultures. And it's always, you brought up food. I love food and I love Mexican food. And so when we have events that bring in food from other cultures, it's just fun, and music and dancing and vibrancy. And that's a nice way, and art, right? All those things. And it helps us find our similarities, but appreciate our differences and have value in that. So I'm hoping it's just up from here, but what we need to do is continue to engage our Latino professionals and our Latino business owners and create products. A big part of what they want to do is advocacy, education, and be a resource. And so we need to create those products for them, or take the products we have and shape them in a way that is friendly and or usable for where they're at in their business. And so it's a great challenge, but it's been a heck of a lot of fun. And I'm just so appreciative that we have Mina and Elvis and Wilma, our first set of leaders, and we'll see who that next vice chair is going to be. We'll elect that later this fall as well. So it's a great project, and it's a great time to be part of the HBC.
Yeah, it sounds like it's for sure. So how many businesses, do you have any idea? I'm sure we do. How many businesses in the Wenatchee Valley, what percentage are Hispanic owned?
Oh, I don't know that Mina, do you have a guesstimate on that?
You know what? I should have this already known, but we just recently were talking about that. I know Rosa has been working on it a lot. She's been trying to break down exactly what percentage of Hispanic business owned. I think we're closer to the 13 or 14%.
Yeah, we have a target list, if you will, about 300 businesses that we think may be good partners for the chamber. Their initial goal, being the Hispanic Business Council for recruitment, is to have 20 new HBC or Hispanic-owned businesses into our membership. And they have, eventually we'd like our membership to reflect our greater community. So if we have a population of 30%, we'd like to see our membership in the chamber at 30%, whatever that scalable is, compared to those businesses, and how are we going to get there? And there isn't kind of a one-for-one translation of a chamber to some of the cultural differences, business differences in Mexico, right? For example, and not all of our businesses come from Mexico. They come from other areas of South America with a Latin heritage. And so, what are we to them? What do you do? Who are you? Are you the government? It's a lot of education, just like we do with any business, but a little bit different. And the other thing that I really love about the culture, and Wilma says this all the time, is we're high touch. We're high touch. Yeah. They're high relationship. They want to know you. They want to be known, but they want to know. And that means the most important thing is trust. Mm. And from that part, we're building trust with them. And so how do we do this together, right? It's creating that family, really. And that's a beautiful part, because I think there's that tribal effect right now, especially coming out of COVID. We want to be part of our tribe, and we want to know where those like-minded resources, people that we can link up with. And this is really exciting to me that we get to share about who we are as an organization with a larger group of business owners in our community, hear from them what is it they need from an organization like ours, and then go back and let the creativity wheel run free and see what we can develop to meet those needs. And it might not be us. It may be, like Mina said, we just need to be the voice. We need to just elevate that need in the community and put some gravitas in some ways behind it. And the biggest gravitas to me is we're unified in this, right? This is important not just to me, but to our entire business community, that we find these solutions for all businesses in our community.
Absolutely. Shiloh Burgess with us today. She's the Executive Director of the Wenatchee Valley Chamber of Commerce, their Hispanic Business Council Vice Chair. Also with us today, Mina Gomez in studio. Mina, Shiloh, I appreciate the time very much. Anything else that we should cover before we wrap up here today? Or
I think we got it all. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chris.
Absolutely. Very good. So you can look for this, again, as part of our Community Connections podcast series, downloadable any place that you like to download your podcast, your favorite ones online, or at our website, KOHO101.com. Chamber's got a link at their website as well. So be looking out for another installment in the series coming up soon here on the KOHO Morning Show as well.
This is the KOHO 101 Community Connection Podcast. Check back often for a continuing look at business in the greater Wenatchee area.